Well, that was a disaster. And to put it short and sweet, this was probably the worst Raider game that I've seen in my 18 years of watching the Raiders. I think this is the worst game that I have really ever seen. And it was a complete trap game. The coaching staff had these guys preparing for Bryce Young when Andy Dalton was named the starter the day of their blowout 24-point loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. They named Andy Dalton the starter, and yet the team still looked like they had no clue on defense on that first drive what they were doing in terms of Andy Dalton coming out. They looked like they saw a ghost when the Red Rifle came out, marched him down the field, and scored a touchdown on the first drive. After that, I mean, we kind of knew that after that point it was going to be a destructive day, for the defense because how good they have been the last couple of weeks, starting off the game like that. I mean, that just says a lot, but it's not even about that. It's not even about, Andy Dalton playing well, throwing three touchdowns. It's not about, Gardner Minshew, sucking and throwing, for I don't know what he had, like 90 yards or something, and missing so many opportunities down the field and just looking for check downs on first, second, third down. It's about the coaching staff, and the coaching staff ill prepared them for this game. They didn't even prepare them for this game. I don't know what they did all week, in the huddle and in the practice in the film room, and I don't know what they did. I simply don't know what the coaching staff did. And this reflects poorly, and I'll let you get into this, but in my opinion, this reflects poorly and poorliest on Antonio Pierce and being the worst loss in the Antonio Pierce era to a really shitty team who had no business, dropping 36 points on our heads. But the blame goes on Antonio Pierce here. And Tom Telesco, that too, I think hiring Luke Getzey was a complete wrong move for this organization. And after seeing Chicago last year, that just makes me really upset because, I mean, just a complete wrong guy for the job was hired. So blame goes on AP, and the blame goes even further up to Telesco.
Yeah, I have all these notes written down and I want to like I don't think I have the words to express how embarrassing this loss was. This is by far based on your opponent, the Carolina Panthers, the laughing stock of the NFL, quite possibly the worst team in NFL history. And to go out and get blown out by them is just an utter disaster from the coaching staff. Look, the players, I can't believe the coach called out the players in his press conference. He essentially said, and we're going to put this clip in, he essentially said players quit on the team in that third and fourth quarter. And Davante Adams went out and said, that's bullshit. And so did Max Crosby. And I just think Antonio Pierce does not know what he is doing as a head coach. He's quite possibly the worst head coach in Raider history. And that's not an understatement. And, we beat the Ravens last week. That was a fluke win. I think it was early in the season that those things happen, right? And if you're a 4-13 team, you're, a 3-14 team, you're going to have three wins. And that was one of our wins, unfortunately. So I just think this is going to be a long season. I think the Ravens game doesn't change that. And I think we showed who we really are today. And Antonio Pierce showed his true colors. You know, I, the fourth down decision making, I don't even want to get into it because it's just so embarrassing. Every time he goes for it on fourth down, I essentially I know the drive's going to be over because I know we're not going to get it. Luke Getzey is a joke of an offensive coordinator, does not know what he's doing. Worst offensive coordinator in the NFL. He has all these weapons at his disposal, doesn't know how to deploy them. He's a joke. Patrick Graham, I put blame on him today. Couldn't adjust to what they were doing. Dave Canales is the worst head coach in the NFL, was a former addict for adult films, complete joke of a head coach, and he outcoached Patrick Graham, who was supposed to be our messiah, Ivy League guy as the defensive coordinator. Couldn't adjust to a basic crossing pattern, post route. Let that go by every single play. Devontae, I'm sick and tired of hearing the fans say he's the best receiver in the league because he's not. He's not even a top 35 receiver in the NFL. He drops half the balls that go his way. He sucks. We got to get rid of him, trade him away, get picks. Like he's just old and sucks. He's not a good player. Crosby's hurt, didn't do anything today. He was as bad as Tyree. I get he's hurt, but they should just put him on IR, rest him for the season. You know, there's every individual player played bad today. Not one player did their jobs today. Everyone played bad, and you can't put that on every player. Not every player is just a bad player. They're getting put in bad positions by the coaching staff. And who does that start with? It starts with Antonio Pierce. I think he's not going to get fired because he just won't. I don't think the owner can do that. And I think you're headed down a bad path with Antonio Pierce, and all we can hope for as fans is a number one pick. And I think that's all we can hope for is we just keep losing games with this incompetent head coach because the number one pick on draft day is what I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to any of these games coming up.
I hate to say it, but with this coach and this team and the way the team is prepared week by week, getting that number one pick and putting Carson Beck or the guy from Miami, what Cam Ward, putting Cam Ward back there, with the number one overall pick. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference because it starts at the top. This is just a This is just a poorly coached and poorly managed and poorly owned team. And if the team sucks like they do, any quarterback you put back there is going to struggle. It's like back in the day, like back in '07 when we drafted Jamarcus Russell and everyone said, oh, like, he was a really shitty quarterback and the worst number one pick ever. Well, it didn't matter. Right after him, Darrelle Revis went, Calvin Johnson went number two to the Lions. Any of those guys you put on the Raiders that year would just be a shit team, and he would just be a shit player. They would just it would just go to garbage. They would never have had the careers they had if they went to the Raiders that year. 2024, same thing. Just a shitty coach team. Anybody you draft, the odds of them going out and with this play caller, I mean, imagine like with even all the talent in the world, this playbook could not score more than 17 points. And like you said, the Ravens game was a fluke. It was a fluke win for the Raiders. Baltimore was still finding themselves and everything. And I mean, this just hurts as a Raider fan, to see us lose this big of a, such an opportunity that slipped through our hands. Like we had such a good chance, going into Cleveland next week, who just lost to the Giants, having Cleveland come to Vegas, to win that game and then going to Denver and then having Pittsburgh come. So this was a really good chance for us to capitalize on it and we failed to do it as we usually do. But going back to Devontae Adams, I think, all the fans who are gonna, just come here and, we love our fans, but all the guys who are just gonna come here and comment Raiders in all caps, you know, this is for you. And you guys gotta know that Devontae Adams is not the best receiver in football. He is not. He just simply is not. Devontae Adams has drop problems, as much as you hate to say it. He's old. He can't run as well as he used to. He can't run downfield. All his routes are within 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. He never runs deep anymore. They don't throw him past 8, 9 yards of the line of scrimmage, is one thing. The second thing is Gardner Minshew has to go, and he's a mediocre quarterback at best. Even the announcers were so bored at the end of the game. They were talking about Gardner Minshew. Oh, he's mediocre at best. Like, will come in and sub in. And was this guy Adam Archuleta was talking about? He's so annoying. Probably the most annoying commentator I've ever heard. Just talking about, oh yeah, they got to get Minshew and do this and do that. He's mediocre. He comes in and will win you some games and all this stuff. Yeah, sure. But AOC came in, the last drive and went off. He went off on the last drive. I think he completed all his passes and he threw the touchdown to Trey Tucker on a rollout. It was like a Tom Brady-esque play wearing number 12. It was a Tom Brady-esque play on that touchdown pass. I don't think you saw that because you turned it off by that point, but he had a pump fake. He pulled it down. He rolled outside to the right, and he threw on the run a bullet to Trey Tucker in the end zone for a touchdown. It was a really pretty play, but I just don't know where we go from here. And whether that's starting Aiden O'Connell next week or whatever it is, I just don't think Luke Getzey gets better. I think the play calling stays stale and stagnant the way it was all game. I think this year is just lost. I think this year, after this loss, okay, yes, call us crazy. It's week 3, right? Oh, so much football to be played. But where do you go from here? What's going to change to the point where everything's going to just, one day just wake up and all the gray clouds are going to clear, just suddenly, and the Red Sea is going to part and there'll be the path, and we'll just have an easy path, to making the playoffs. And, as some creators have said, Raiders are going to win 14 games this year, right? So looking back at it, like you said, 3 games, right? 3 to 4 games. That Ravens game was one of them. That was a fluke. Now looking at our schedule, I don't think we're better than Denver even at this point. Denver looked, really good today. Over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning 26-7. Bo Nix looked really good, and we just looked really bad. To put it simply, like you said, there was not one aspect of the game that went well. They failed on all ends. And now the coaches and the coaching staff and the players are bickering with each other, arguing, and they don't know. I don't think we're on the same page anymore. And I think it's going to be a really destructive season now. It doesn't matter if AOC comes in and plays quarterback. I think it's just going to be a really destructive season for the Raiders now. And like you said, Max Crosby, he even said after the game he has a high ankle sprain. So why is he playing? Why is he playing 79, 80% of the snaps in this game if he has a high ankle sprain? I mean, he should just come out of the game. Like what is the harm in coming out of the game if you have a high ankle sprain? Just rest, like sit out. Like it doesn't matter. I get you have the dog in you, but the game is over at that point. Like you don't have to just keep trying. Like you're not effective. And it's not like Tyree Wilson's any better. Tyree Wilson is a bust. Tyree Wilson should be like not in the he should be in the CFL and he's bound for the CFL in the next few years. And you heard that here first on the Silver and Black Attack. Tyree Wilson is going to be in the Canadian Football League one of these next few years because the Raiders are they're running out of time. He's running out of time, in with the Raiders. The other thing is Marcus Epps, okay, did not have a great game, but unfortunately, prayers out to him with the non-contact knee injury that was deemed significant by Antonio Pierce. So that's probably it for Marcus Epps. I think he's going into a contract year. Non-contact significant knee injury. We just saw it with Kuntz. He's out for the season. We think it's an ACL, but it was definitely a knee ligament. And now Epps again, non-contact significant knee injury. Epps has played his last down to the Raiders, folks, and I think we're going to be in the market for a new safety next year, let alone a new offensive coordinator and possibly a new head coach because Antonio Pierce, after today, man, I don't see it. I don't see the vision. I don't see him being the guy that leads us back to the playoffs, let alone winning a Super Bowl. But just overall, just complete garbage. I'm honestly insulted by the fact that I have to say hey, I'm a Raider fan, like, yeah, and we do this podcast. We, grind our blood, sweat, and tears into this friggin' podcast. And every day we come out and put it out for the viewers, and, we've been blowing up recently. But then to just have a game like this today, it's like we don't even want to come into work. With the way the team backs us up, is like, how are you going to go out and do that? How are you going to go, like, lay an egg and like we've had it before where we've lost 24-0 or 43-6 to the Falcons. We got blown out by teams, but this was worse than all of them because Carolina was the worst team in football by a mile coming into this game. Andy Dalton's 35 years old. And the only thing I can think of is Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton have a really good connection, right? Marvin Lewis drafted Andy Dalton from TCU in 2011, 2012. I don't know. Marvin Lewis might have gone and said something, might have gone and said, hey, buddy, here's the whole Raiders defensive scheme. I stole it off Patrick Graham's desk. I mean, that seems to me like a pretty legit case for what happened today.
I mean, it sure looked like that based on how the defense played. Like that's more plausible than Patrick Graham having a good game plan because it sure looked like Andy Dalton knew exactly what we were doing. And quite frankly, a lot of times Raider fans, and we're guilty of this as well, we anoint players who haven't deserved it yet. For example, Robert Spillane. He gets a few sacks here and there, gets a few picks, and he's hailed as an all-pro middle linebacker. But when you really watch the tape, and when we turn on this tape, you fans are going to see, I'm sure if you guys are legitimate fans, you'll go watch the game breakdown on whoever's channel. He sucks. He was getting blown up by the guards, not doing anything in the run game, and our linebackers were getting gashed. And so that's one example, right? There's a million other examples. Nate Hobbs played like shit, and he's supposed to be an all-pro nickel. Merrick, same thing. And so you can go across the board. You can go across the board with our roster, and it was a complete joke of an effort from everyone on the team. And Max Crosby, look, great player. He doesn't know the first thing about who to hire as head coach. He wanted to hire Antonio Pierce, and he got us in this pickle that we're in now with the worst head coach in football. And you said we're going to hire someone else next year. The problem with that is we had the golden opportunity last year to hire Jim Harbaugh. That's a slam dunk hire. He wanted to come. He was a former Raider, and Mark Davis didn't hire him and hired Antonio Pierce. He always makes the wrong move as an owner. I don't know why he does that. He doesn't have any sort of drive in his own body to do what he wants to do. He listens, he sways by the wind, listens to what the fans want to do, what the players want to do. Have some passion of your own to be able to decide who the head coach is going to be. Don't just let yourself be swayed by the Max Crosby. Like it's just a complete joke of how the organization is run. It's not run structurally sound. It's a joke. And us, we run a podcast covering the team. They directly impact. Like you can say we're just trying to be fake or we don't know. Literally, we're as if the team does better, we do better. We want this team to do better more than anyone, more than any of you guys watching. We want the team to do better. And we're just calling it like it is. And if you guys can't see that, I'm sorry, like you're just gonna be continually disappointed. You have to see that.
And to
And
say
so
it's all the non-Raider fans too that the guys who are casuals, guys who just, oh, sometimes they'll turn on the game and then they'll say, yeah, I'm a big Raiders fan, man. Yeah. I love the Raiders, man. Yeah. They'll go in the comments and have nothing better to do and then just start blasting us for our takes and say, oh, yeah, these guys said season's over because they lost to the worst team in football. Yeah, well, definitely. That's true. That's 100% true that this season is compromised now after losing this game. So, whoever that's going to be to write that comment, go ahead, leave that comment. We're going to see it, right? We're going to see that comment and we're going to respond to you because you don't know football. And I'm sorry that you don't know football. That's just us being students of the game for the past, 15 years of our lives, being students of this game, watching Raiders games religiously every Sunday, wasting our days watching this team lose and blow up in any. We've seen everything to this point. We've seen everything. There's not one thing we have not seen. So to that guy who's gonna come in and comment, oh, that overreaction, all this stuff, clickbait, whatever, who writes clickbaits on all our videos, like to hell with it, man. Like whatever you want to say, like go ahead and say. We don't even care at this point. I mean, we know what we're doing here. Our 1,247 subscribers here know what we're doing. Our 100,000 plus views on our last short, people, they know what we're doing. So if you, the one guy who wants to go ahead and say that we don't know what we're saying or whatever, to hell with you, man. That's all I got to say to you. But Raider Nation, I don't even want to say that. I don't even want to say Raider Nation. Just to whoever's watching this video now, until the Raiders start winning, I mean, the nation is going to be hard to, it's going to be hard to keep coming on here and saying, "Oh, Raider Nation, Raider Nation." So to whoever's watching this video, just know that the Las Vegas Raiders are in trouble. And this week, was really a testament to show, hey, we're playing the worst team in football. Can we get a win against an easy team? And we fell short of that by letting them score 36 points. So yeah, I don't even know how to wrap this up, but y'all, keep liking, subscribing, commenting. We're still gonna cover, the rest of the season as it goes on. But in our opinions, this season is toast as it is. Maybe Aiden O'Connell comes in next week and Deshaun Watson maybe spends too much time in the massage parlor and misses a few practices. So hopefully they'll get a good win next week against Cleveland. But I don't even know at this point. Like after yesterday, I don't even know. I don't even know what's gonna happen. And yeah, Raider Nation. I don't know, Jahan. You have anything else to say?
Honestly, no, that about covers it. And I'm sorry you guys had to watch that as fans. And, nothing more to add. We pretty much added everything that needed to be said, I think we covered today. And, it's sad. But Raider Nation, we're gonna be here covering the team like you said. And stick with us because we tell it like it is. We don't bullshit you guys. And so if you want authentic content, this is the place to be. So like, share, subscribe, comment. We're going to be here for you guys. We love you guys. And that's about it. So Raider Nation, until next time, we'll catch you guys and thank you.